Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce, he has an interesting approach when playing the Chiefs. He said that he wants his team to channel, speaking of the bad boys Detroit Pistons against Patrick Mahomes. Now, this was a tactic they used when pulling off a Christmas Day upset over Kansas City last season, telling his team that they need to, quote, hate the color red. So Joshua, as someone who believes hate is a great motivator, is this a strategy you can get behind?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I tell this story and people think it's dramatic, but it's the truth. When I played at Ohio State, Urban did not allow us to wear the color blue at the facility. There was a rule where we could not have blue pens. The scouts would come in, NFL scouts, Chargers from the Patriots, Texans from the Colts. They had a blue polo on. He would make them go in the equipment room, and they would have to wear an Ohio State polo that day. You could ask Mark Carman, who's on this show right now, about some of these rules at Ohio State. Like, he was fanatical about it because he wanted to create an environment where you saw blue and you knew that it was something bad. And it's hard to train pros into this. Like, I think it has to be a very tactical approach. It can't feel amateurish when you do it. But I do think that there is a mentality that you can build, especially with the team that you have to face twice a year, that you have to treat that game a little bit differently. And those wins are a little bit more valuable. That quarterback has to be a little bit more uncomfortable knowing when he's going up against your defense and maybe some other defenses there, right? Like, you know, you do your pass rush and maybe you don't get to the quarterback, but you just touch him to let him know your presence is there, right? Like, that's what he's trying to build. And I think that kind of stuff really works because you start to see that team differently than you would see other teams. And if you know they're at the top of the mountain, that's what you got to do.
Well, I remember specifically from that game, Max Crosby was all over Patrick Mahomes there, and he was playing that mental game where he would just go up. You mentioned just the pat there. After the tackle, he would just get in his face. I mean, they sacked him 4 times and finished with 10 quarterback hits. And Pat Mahomes, he had a pick 6 in that game as well. So they were definitely something was definitely working there, and Antonio Pierce was saying he's given the NFL the recipe there, the handbook to take down the Chiefs.
Yeah, and Crosby in that game was kind of scary. Like, whenever he was even just getting close to Mahomes, you just didn't know what he was going to do, and his plan worked, obviously. But how about just hate to lose? Like, if you want to hate something, hate to lose.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and Brooke can attest to how I feel about that. But I think there is a part of it where you're hoping that when you get pros in there, that's already ingrained. But when you know that you're going up against a team who is probably better than you right now, there's got to be that extra little gear. Like, we're trying to knock off the king of the hill right now. We gotta have that intensity to do it.
Was that something? Did you ever try to play mind games? Because we know how much baseball is a mental. There's a mental aspect to it. Did you ever play mind games when you were pitching?
I could say now that yes, like I'd like to go up and talk to the hitters on the other team and just act like we're friends with them, because Moises Alou did that to me, acting like he's friends with me, but then just try to murder me when I was pitching to him. So it turned out that I would go and try to be friends with other guys, and when you're friends with them, they don't think that you're going to throw inside because they don't think you're going to hit them or try to hit them, which I wasn't trying to hit everybody, but you still got to throw inside.
Some people.
You still got to throw inside. You know what I mean?
We're not going to let that slide.
You still got to throw inside.
You don't have to go into details. You don't have to name names. I'm not going to put you on the spot there, but
you still have to throw inside. You know, this is like Crosby getting close to Mahomes. You still got to get the ball in a little bit. And if you're friends with them, they don't think you're going to do that. So kind of get in their head, and then you back them off, and then they look at you like what's up? I thought we were boys. Well, I'm still trying to get you out.
You are playing for the other team there. Yeah. Joshua, what about you?
I didn't do any of the games.
I know that. I just wanted to.
But I played a sport where you could legally hit people, so I didn't think the games made nearly as much sense. Like, I would just you hit them hard, and that's the game.
You always say you were so straight-laced when it comes to your play. But I know you're petty too, so
I'm super petty. But
I feel like you would play some mind games.
I didn't. I have to be petty now because the things that I did on a football field, I would be in jail. So I have to replace that with pettiness at this point in my life, and so I've had to switch up my game a little bit.
But don't pull an Isaiah Stewart now.
I'm not going to. I'm scared of jail, y'all. I'm not going to jail.
We need you here on the show.